If you actually utilize your alone time the right way, it could skyrocket your productivity. In fact, enhance your whole life in total. And this is not even subjected to only introverts. Everyone basically that spends time alone subsequently. So now there are two types of way that you are supposed to spend your alone time. Not just saying, oh, I'm in solitude or I'm in isolation or I just want to be alone, I just want to have a me time. You can have a me time for as long as possible and it's going to end up not productive at all. In fact, it might even end up breaking your life. Why? Because once you are in that state of isolation, you are most prone to your intrusive thoughts. And once your intrusive thoughts get hold of you, then you're fucked. So that's why you need to understand that there are two ways of utilizing your alone times, which is number one, time for thinking. So you don't just spend alone time, you have to know what you are doing. And the first one is creating time for thinking. So when you are in your alone time period, you actually sitting and getting off all of your dopamine sources, and you actually sitting and getting away from everything that is like a distraction and going into your cerebral cortex, into your frontal cortex, and making use of it to the highest of level. Are you tapping into your memories? Are you tapping into your past? Are you using your imaginative senses? Are you using more than 10% of your brain when you are alone? That's where the time for thinking actually comes forward. Because if we don't make time for actually sitting and thinking, we never really get to map out or structure or organize things in our life. In fact, we never really know the things that are going on in our life. But once you sit down, you can be able to map out, you can be able to plan. It is like you are going to a battle, but you don't have a sketch, you don't have a strategy. You have to have a strategy every time. Okay, this week, what am I going to achieve? Sit and think. Okay, this month, what am I going to achieve? Sit and think. This year, sit and think. In fact, today, once you wake up, instead of you going on your phone, instead of chasing that dopamine and getting yourself encompassed in all of those toxicity early in the morning, sit down and do what? Fucking think. Yes. And the more you do this, the more you actually see that you have more clarity about your life. Because the thing is that a lot of us are always running away from being bored. But you don't understand that the most elevating of ideas to implement in your life comes to you when you are bored, when you are utterly useless and doing nothing and just there. So instead of just being there, create some time to think. You can just set an alarm for 1 hour, 2 hours, just sit down and make sure you think. Just think. And have something to write out your thoughts beside you and you see what happens. Then number two is time for listening. So you don't just think, you also create time for listening. And time for listening, it doesn't work like time for thinking. Time for listening is when you go into nature all by yourself. You have a walk all by yourself. You just sit there all by yourself, not thinking though, but just lost in oblivion, in silence. Have you ever tried sitting in darkness all by yourself without no light and just be there totally? Have you ever stayed on your bed even while you are not sleeping, but you are just there and you are just roaming? Listen, right? Take time to listen. And something that the listening time also have in common with the thinking time is that you have to have somewhere you write out the things you are hearing. Because this time of listening is the time that you get attuned with your intuition. It's the time that you get attuned with your inner self. That is when you hear the voice of God. Yes. Even if you are a religious person, it doesn't fucking matter. You pray, right? Talking to God. How do you hear God talk back? In silence, by listening. Totally just being there. And do you notice the syndrome whereby when you are in the bathroom having your bath, or when you are on the toilet seat, at the times that the most profound of ideas comes to your head? It's because as at that time you are open to listening and you are very, very out of the dopamine receiving spectrum. You are there by yourself, and that's where you are open to much more ideas. And do you know why that comes to be? That happens is because our brain is literally an antenna, right? It catches on to thoughts, because thoughts has dimensions of their own, and like that you're catching on to things that could change your life profoundly. Even artists, this is how you get to channel, because you get to tap onto things, and this is the time that you are attuned with the God within also. This is when you hear the God within talk also. So create time for listening, create time for being alone in oblivion, and see what it does to your life. So just utilize these two, right? Utilize these two. Time for thinking and time for listening. Just don't just waste your alone time, and see what you get from that. And if you are looking for a way to learn how to use the knowledge of your holistic being to elevate and enhance your life quality, then you can book a one-on-one session with me via the link in my bio, or join my masterclass via the Illumination School link also in my bio. Stay wise. Over to you.